The Teen Driving Simulator Center is located at 1845 Silas Deane Highway in Rocky Hill. The driving simulator program that we use is called Street Ready. And Street Ready is designed to teach teens how to be more aware of their environment, how to identify hazards, and how to manage various risks, such as managing a curve. What do you do when you come into a curve, you're coming out of it? What do you do when you see a pedestrian or a bicyclist on the road? And that's really the focus of the 12 lessons of the Street Ready software. Behind me is the driving simulator that we use, and as you can see, it features a steering wheel, a keypad, and of course 3 screens. The 3 screens give you a virtual view of the road. In addition, down below there are foot pedals. So we have a brake and a gas pedal. The third pedal would normally be for a clutch, but that's not active on the simulator. And you drive as you would in a normal car, except for the fact that when you crash this car, nobody gets hurt. The idea of having a teen driving simulation center started a few years ago when we received some initial funding from the Allstate Foundation to loan driving simulators out to schools. We contacted various schools, and those that expressed interest, we loaned out a simulator, and they would base it either in their library or in a classroom for all students to use. The best time to be using a simulator is when you first start your practice drive with your parents. So we advise students, if you're 16 and you're in the car now with your parents driving with your learner's permit, it's a great time to start going through simulated training. We use the Street Ready program, and the Street Ready program is a 12-lesson curriculum. Each lesson is split into 3 parts. The first part is a tutorial which teaches you what you need to demonstrate in the lesson. The second part is a practice drive where you actually drive through a simulated environment with an instructor, a virtual instructor, talking to you the whole time, telling you what to do, what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. And then finally, the third part is an assessment drive. So each lesson has an assessment drive where you start off at 100 points, and for each violation you receive a deduction. And you need to score 70 or better to move on to the next lesson. Well, the 3 most valuable lessons are easily, one, really learn what the hazards are on the road, how to recognize hazards. The other lesson you learn through the simulator is really just monitoring your vehicle. At all times understanding how fast you're going and being aware of how to approach an intersection and how to exit an intersection appropriately. We suspect that if all drivers, whether teen drivers or any novice driver, if they had to do a certain number of hours in a simulator prior to getting their license, that it could very well have an impact on crash rates. However, we don't have the answer to that question. Right now, we're evaluating the program through a federally funded research project through the Health Resources Services Administration, where they're funding us to look at the difference between students who actually complete all 12 lessons and students who don't use the simulator at all. What we're looking to find out as we follow these students forward over 12 months, is there a difference in citations, violations, or crashes suffered by the 2 disparate groups, those students who use the simulators versus those who don't. Until we know the answer to the question of whether driving simulators actually reduce the crash risk for teens, we would not advise that all teens do it and make it mandatory. However, from interviews with students who've used it, they've all reported that it has, in a positive way, impacted their driving. We have, at this point, a very strong suggestion for all teens that if they do have a resource like a driving simulator, to get that additional on-the-road or like on-the-road experience by using a simulator. Simulators are used throughout industry. Truck drivers use them, airline pilots use them, and the military uses simulators extensively, and there's a reason for that. At this point, a couple hundred students have completed all 12 lessons of the program, and we're currently evaluating whether the Street Ready program has any impact on crash rates for teens. So right now it's an unanswered question of whether this actually protects teens or not. The only other point about simulation training that is actually very important, it's the involvement of parents. Parents should be involved in all aspects of a teen's driving. And doing a driving simulator, absent parent involvement in taking a student out on the road, allowing them to practice what they learned in the simulator, it's probably far less effective. Also, parents play a key role in saying or encouraging kids to use the simulator or not. We've had a number of students who've used the simulator purely because their parents said, you must do this prior to getting your license. And I think that's a very effective role for parents to play, which is to provide their student, their child, with all the resources possible to make them a good driver.